We are live, Max, as they say in the industry. We are on the air.
Is that what they say in the industry?
I've heard that. I don't know if that's the actual official term or not.
I'll go with it.
We're going. Either way. Max, how you doing?
Fantastic. It's not minus 45 tonight. It's like minus 35 tonight, so we're better. We're better.
A little
Preds
bit
game
better.
got postponed. That's tough. But
Yeah, that sucks, hey?
prayers to everybody in Dallas. Hope everybody's safe.
Yeah, seriously, though. It's a weird time in Texas right now.
It's a weird time in
must
Texas.
say.
It sounds like the name of a Willie Nelson album. It's a weird time in Texas.
Texas?
I don't know.
I think you just made $1 million idea.
I'll take
I
it.
like that.
I'll take it.
Hey, welcome inside the basement of the Rod Peterson Show bunker. Of course, we're at the IKS Media Studios. I'm producer Clark here with my friend Mad Max over to my right. And we welcome you. You are the squad. You are the finalists on this week's episode of the SquadCast presented by Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions. I got the sweater on today.
It's a nice looking sweater.
Love this sweater. Actually, you know what? Funny story. So I have a... just let me show you.
Is this actually funny
really
or?
quick. Yeah, I think so. So they got the two cartoon characters, right? Darnell, Roxanne, and I know. Sorry, Darnell, Roxanne, the cartoon characters on the sweater. I have a 2-year-old at home, and every time I wear this at home, she's like, "Haha, look at the little guys!" And she like laughs at them. She loves the little cartoon characters. So
Nice.
Shout out to Roxanne and Darnell.
Good branding, guys. Nailing it.
Absolutely. The 2-year-olds love it. But hey, don't rack your brain trying to figure out what you need for your business and how to get it. Make sure your supplies are stocked and in place, and Roxanne and Darnell can do it all for you. They can expedite your ordering process. They can make sure you have everything you need for your business to run smoothly for you. Give them a call or visit them at rockstar.com, and they can handle everything for your business. And as always, ask us anything throughout the entire night. We have a brand new comment wall up here that we're going to be able to see.
Can you do the ear thing? The ear thing helps calm me.
I did it. I'm not left-handed, so it's really weird in my left hand. So, hey, if you are watching on YouTube today, and I believe Twitter, Jordan, do we connect Twitter? No, okay. But if you're watching on YouTube, do we connect YouTube? Okay, so if you are watching on YouTube, you should be able to comment in, and we'll be able to see them on our comment wall tonight. So, that is the
Clark,
that's the show.
Quiet on the set, please.
I didn't have my volume turned down.
No,
so
you didn't.
Note to self: turn off the computer speakers.
Unless you're watching.
Unless you're
keep
watching
yours
the
on.
show.
That's fine.
So yeah, if you're commenting on YouTube tonight, for example, I'll put one in, and it'll show up on our wall, just like all our Facebook ones. So the more comments we get, the better our show is overall. So make sure you're blowing up the comments all night long. Feel free to chirp us. Feel free to ask questions. Whatever you want, it all makes the show better, I always say. Max, break down tonight's show, would you?
With good pleasure, good sir.
Okay.
Episode 20. Wow, where'd the time go? For this edition of the SquadCast, it's a completely jam-packed show. Pitchers and catchers are starting to head to camp. The smell of pine tar is in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Vladdy, Bo, Cavan, and crew are hoping to start spring training on a tear. Arash Madani comes in to cover all the bases, and Chris Cater checks in.
Because it's baseball.
That's right. Chris Cater checks in from North Regina Little League. Registration is open, people, so get your kids their places.
Ooh.
It's a jam-packed show, Clark. Are you done sharing the show?
No.
Don't worry. The Leafs aren't playing tonight.
Oh.
There won't be a 4-goal lead to blow. Starting early, kids.
You just had to start it with that?
Starting early.
You're so mean to me.
Read the script before the show, and then you know
I
what's
guess I
in there.
should read the script, hey?
Should do that.
We're doing something a little different tonight, and I want you guys to get in on it. So, Jordan, if you could put the YouTube or the Facebook comments in. They're in. They're not showing up on my screen for some reason. Maybe that's a... Aha. So, for some reason, they're not showing up on our screen. However... one thing we're doing tonight is if you like this show and we get 100 likes on Facebook,
So that's a thumbs up.
give it a thumbs up. Click that like button. It can be a heart. It can be a laughing face. You can be mad at us or whatever you want to do.
Just Clark, please.
If we get 100, we're going to be giving away something. I won't say what yet, but we're going to be giving away something.
It's a mystery prize.
To one of those people who have clicked like. So make sure you click that like button and make sure you tell people in the comments.
Get your burner
to also
accounts
hit it.
fired up, people. We all know you got 6 of them.
If you could all comment, if you have done it, comment in and say liked and shared. It's
That
just
helps.
a good way.
That
Might
helps.
help you win the prize also. Hit that like button, people. We got lots going on tonight. We even got a poll in. Who should the Blue Jays sign in free agency? So we're going to put that up. We have 2 options and then even a trade option as well. And then you can also vote other and tell us who you think they should pick up. And that leads us to our first topic of the night, which is, Max, just let me get the script up.
Yeah.
Part of the top of the order.
Top of the order.
We got our top of the order coming up, brought to you by Flame Tech Combustion Services. First order of business. We got the Matt Shoemaker. We got Taijuan Walker. We got James Paxton. We got Jake Odorizzi. We got all sorts of middle-of-the-road free agent pitchers. Some of them have signed.
Sound like
of
some
rumors.
guys the Jays need.
There's a couple guys there that the Jays could bring in. Taijuan Walker on the left, who was with the Jays. And I feel like his jersey fit better in Seattle.
It is.
Did you notice that he had a very tight jersey in Toronto?
Maybe it's the deep navy. I don't know. Maybe it's a stylistic choice. Either way, he pitched well for the Jays.
Pitched well for the Jays. Jake Odorizzi's had a nice career. He'd be fit nicely with the Jays as well. So those are 2 guys that we both have been talking about that we would like to see both of those gentlemen on the Jays pitching staff this year. Matt Shoemaker, we saw, who pitched Game 1 in the playoffs for the Jays last year, struggled with injuries. He has signed a 1-year, $2 million contract plus incentives with the Minnesota Twins. And James Paxton, who we really would have loved to see in Toronto as well, signed back with his original team, the Seattle Mariners, for 1 year, 8.5, potentially 10, depending on incentives. So, hey, good for him. Nice money. I say copy and paste that contract to Walker and Odorizzi, and bring them onto the team.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think, again, especially if you could package them both up for that same price.
Yeah, same price.
We were talking about it over text, as we usually do throughout the week. That's $17 million to shore up the middle of your rotation. I feel like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, we got a couple people chiming in. Jackson Seal says, bring Walker back. Robin Wiley says, both. Of course, yeah.
Exactly.
It's like that taco commercial.
We're not greedy at all.
Why not both? Next topic of business of next order of business.
Next spot in the order.
There we go.
The two-hole.
J.J. Watt. Now, this is heating
J.J.
up.
Watt?
Since our last episode, J.J. Watt has been released by the Houston Texans, and I just put this one in to troll everybody who doesn't want him to go to Green Bay.
Yeah, no.
He is a Wisconsin product. Went to university at the University of Wisconsin. And
is that how they talk in Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, yeah. Oh. There's lots of cheese in Wisconsin.
Lots of cheese in Wisconsin.
So, yeah, hey. He looks good in green, I must say. You don't want him there because he's in the NFC, and you want him as far away or on the Rams, as far away from the Rams or on the Rams as possible.
Yeah, let's let the cat out of the bag, as it were. Anyways, it's that green color there, that yellow trim. Not a big fan as of the divisional round ribbon that they put on the Rams. So let's see you line up with Aaron Donald, JJ. We know you want a championship. Come over to LA, low base. I figure like a 1 year, $5 million deal, and then load up those incentives.
Yeah.
You win a Super Bowl. Stan Kroenke's got money. He's getting sued by the city of St. Louis right now for moving the team, but it's fine. Yeah. It's all okay.
Absolutely. Now, good. I heard a good buddy of ours, and the viewers will know this guy is one of our original viewers, Todd Pinkney.
Yes.
Sent me a text or sent us a comment earlier today and said, hey, I saw a picture of DeAndre Hopkins with J.J. Watt in Arizona uniforms.
I'd really hate that if he'd be in the division. But
is that tampering? He's a free agent, so it's not really tampering,
He's a free agent.
is it?
Guys are allowed to make Photoshops.
Yeah, that's fine. So that's interesting. We will see if that's actually the case. I don't see J.J. Watt going to the Cardinals by any stretch, but they've
got a good defense already, and I think it's a young defense. Right?
There's a few teams that could benefit from having a J.J. Watt.
Oh, absolutely. I think the biggest question for him, too, is can he stay healthy throughout the course of a season? I think when you look at J.J. and his career, and especially how it's gone the last few years for the Texans, it's a matter of health. Can he stay healthy? And also, too, obviously, the team is in shambles around him. Whoever's making the calls, GM, head coach. At one point, the GM was the head coach, so that was problematic. And now all of a sudden, you've got your franchise quarterback who's very unhappy and possibly is on his way out of town. You got your release, JJ, sign where you see fit. Probably in LA where they're hosting the Super Bowl next year. That's not tampering, is it?
No.
JJ, I know you're watching. Come and join the Rams.
Yeah, I don't
Line
think
up next to 3-time DYOP Aaron Donald.
I don't think we count as tampering.
Okay, well that's good.
Robin Wildy in Prince Albert says, "Hey Jeremy O'Day, general manager of the Rough Riders, bring in JJ Watt. 2 years, $200,000 a season, $75,000 signing bonus. Do it."
Does he get free rent at the old?
I think you need a lot more than free rent in order to make that deal. He's turning down a couple $1 million.
Well, who was it that said that it was on the Rod Peterson show that Regina was the Green Bay of the NFL, right? So
yes, Will Blackman said that.
Will Blackman said
Super
that.
Bowl champion Will Blackman said that.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. Rod Peterson's checking in. Hello, Rod.
Hi, Rod.
Pat 40 says the Packers are a great fit. I can't argue.
No, and that's the thing, right? When they're loaded, they're ready to go. Aaron Rodgers, MVP form right now.
Yep.
All you need is a little more help on the defensive end of the ball. And if you're the Packers and you got a first-round pick a wide receiver this year. Give Aaron some weapons.
Give him something.
Goodness,
bring somebody
ridiculous.
in. Seriously.
Yeah.
Next topic. CFL news. Now, I'm putting this CFL news in strictly because I wanted to put this meme on. Look at that. The Argos have signed the famous, the infamous, if you will, the memeable, one of the biggest memes of the year, I want to say like 2016. Sean Oakman is coming to the Argos.
That picture's worth a 3-0 start right there. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to play that guy.
Yeah, the Argos are like, hey, we're going to win the championship. And everyone's like, no, you're not. And then Sean Oakman's like, yes, we are.
Yes, we
and they're like, oh, yeah, okay.
And then Charleston Hughes might have something to say about it.
Well,
too.
that's the thing, right? That's what I was going to get at. The Argos have made about 52 free agent signings in the last week.
Yeah, how are they cap compliant?
Hey, the cap doesn't count until the season starts.
Oh, well.
So, hey, bring in all the people you want. But I actually saw a picture. They have, I think, legitimately 24 wide receivers under contract right now.
Actually?
And a lot, like good ones, too. Like a lot of them have NFL experience. A lot have a lot of CFL experience. They have like Eric Rogers. They brought in Martavis Bryant. Terrell Sinkfield, who's been around the CFL and has gone to the NFL since. Devaris Daniels, who's with the Stampeders when they won the championship a couple years ago. Like, that's naming 5. They have Juwan Brescison, who's a big Canadian receiver. They have a ton of guys that are legit.
A lot of guys the Riders can pick up when they got to make some cuts.
There's a couple cuts on the way, yeah. Next order of business, we have the North Division in the NHL coming up here. We should have the standings. There they are. So the Leafs sit on top at the moment. We'll get into that in a sec. They should be way higher. The Canadians are right behind them. I saw a lot of people leave this picture out for a bit, guys. Brady Witt, I don't know if he's watching right now. I don't know. I haven't seen his name yet, but he texted me after the Leafs beat the Canadians, and he's like, "What is wrong with the Canadians? Why are they struggling so bad?" I'm like, Brady, they're good. Cool it. So I sent out I think I sent out a tweet or something, and I was like, can everybody explain to me why people think the Habs are bad all of a sudden because they've lost a couple games? I just don't get it.
It's amazing, and that's the thing.
They're good,
but that's La Belle Province. That's hockey in Habs Nation, right? They're finally a team with expectations now, and they're that team that when they were in their glory days and their heydays, I mean, throughout the entirety of their existence in the NHL, 24 cups. I mean, that's just the way that those Habs fans are wired, right? It's you have a little bit of success, you want all of the success. You can't just have a little bit. There's a development progress that has to happen here. Nick Suzuki is still only 21 years old. He's your second line center. You guys are going to need a little bit more time yet.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have Austin Matthews. You don't have Mitch Marner. That's where I see Toronto still coming up on top at the end of the season.
I hope so.
Superstar talent. So.
Flash that picture up again for us really quick, guys. Just run through the rest of the teams. The Jets are surging right now. Dubois gets hurt in his first game. Like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah, Columbus has clearly won that trade.
Yeah, so far. The Oilers are still up and down. That is a frustrating team, I'm sure, to like right now. They have a good game, and then they can't get it together.
Just cheer for McDavid. Don't even cheer for the Oilers anymore.
Exactly.
Cheer for Draisaitl and McDavid. That's
the Calgary Flames, I believe it seems to me like they're kind of coming along.
8-6-1. It's not a bad record most years.
The Markstrom signing is looking like it's going to pay off really good long term. The Canucks are struggling, but I feel like they still have a lot left in the tank. I think they still have a lot to prove. The Senators, the pesky Sens are back, Max. And
are they, Clark? They're the pesky Sens now.
I think I haven't looked at the Vigor fan vote over on Twitter, but I didn't win. Andre Drummond won. We'll get into that in a minute, but I might have we're not getting to that yet, guys. Quick on the trigger. But yeah.
You're flustered now.
I'm flustered.
Clark, what happened in the Leafs game last night? Just get it out.
I can't talk about it now.
Just get it out.
We're not going to have time.
We watched the highlights 46 times on a loop.
We're going to be way too late bringing in Arash Madani, who is our special guest, by the way.
True.
Arash Madani coming up in about 5 minutes' time. We still have to get through all 3 topics. So
we got
I don't have
6
time.
minutes.
I don't have time to get in my Leafs rant yet.
We might have to skip to a certain one.
If you want to hear my Leafs rant, stay tuned. It's going to come up later in the show. It's coming up. Trust me. But the pesky Sens are back. And I see a lot of people saying, like, the Sens are the worst team in the league. How could the Leafs do this? I'm just going to do the quick version. But I don't think the Sens are necessarily the worst team in the league. I feel like they have a lot of pieces. They're like the Leafs 3 or 4 years ago when they had the young pieces and they could surprise teams. They played a fun game. They were physical, hard to play against. That's the DJ Smith style. DJ Smith was there at the time.
Absolutely.
He's the perfect coach for this Senators team. That's exactly the way the Leafs were back in the day, and that's how he's coaching them now. They aren't fun to play against. They are fun to watch. They're a speedy team. They got some young skill. Stutzel is the real deal.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And a whole lot more. So, hey, we'll get into a little bit deeper down the road in the show. If you want to hear that, stick around or come back. But anyways, we're getting into our first topic of the night. We're going to skip the Leafs top six forward idea because we're going to talk about that more later as well.
Yes.
But hey, the top of the order was brought to you by FlameTech Combustion Services. FlameTech strives to provide comfort for everyone in communities across Saskatchewan, and they are proud to support local businesses and initiatives throughout this great province. While the world seems to be facing one challenge after another, our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy. Visit flametech.ca for more info.
Excellent.
Great company. The Penguins. We're getting into it. This is our first actual real topic of the night. We're going to dig into this for a couple minutes here. The Penguins rebuild. Is it coming? We have heard so many rumors. There they are. Look at those sad, sad Penguins.
But they haven't been since they've made the moves at the top of the management chain, right?
Exactly. So Brian Burke, I think last show we talked about it with Nick Alberga. Brian Burke and Ron Hextall are brought in, and we had this debate, like, does this mean they're rebuilding? Does this mean that they're tearing it down? Are they going to keep going? Are they going to push and add? Are they going to bring in Marc-Andre Fleury is the rumor that I've heard.
Wouldn't that be something?
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense. So there's all this discussion around what are the Penguins right now? And I don't think that the management even knows right now what the Penguins are. So the topic came up, and I had a great chat with this with our buddies over at the Offside Hockey Podcast last week. Shout out to Jamie Anstey. I know he's watching right now.
Excellent.
However, and he's actually got a good question we should talk about later, Max. We were talking about it before the show.
Were we?
I'll let you read that. Jamie Anstey.
Good
the
stuff.
second one.
Oh, the second one. Perfect.
So the Penguins, what happens if they decide to trade Sidney Crosby? If they trade Sidney Crosby, you know that trickle down is going to lead to trading Evgeny Malkin, and that's probably also leading to Christopher Letang.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's when you look at the order of this, of how it could all be deconstructed, like you're breaking up a dynasty. They won 3 cups in a matter of 8-9 years. I mean, obviously a little bit longer winded than the Chicago Blackhawks dynasty of the early 2010s, but when you look at this team, I can't see Sidney Crosby in another uniform. I just can't do it. Can you? Can you honestly see?
Yes.
Yes.
No, not like
future Toronto Maple Leaf Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, right. There we go. No, I'm not getting that far. Okay. However, I really do think that Sidney Crosby would be the type of leader to say, A, I don't necessarily want to be a part of a massive teardown rebuild.
Right.
And B, I know that I, as a player, can bring in pieces that will change this team's future.
Yes.
And I want to leave that legacy. Because if you're a guy who's won 3 Stanley Cups with a team, and then they say, hey, if we can trade you for a bunch of stuff that's going to make us better in 5 years, and then they win again, your legacy in that city is, A, he won us 3 cups, and then B, we won another cup or 2 or whatever it is because we were able to trade him.
Hashtag Penguin for life.
Absolutely. So, I don't know. I could see there's a couple teams that come to mind.
Yeah.
The Avalanche are extremely fun to think about.
That scenario, yep.
With Nathan McKinnon and whoever else.
Yeah, his running mate from Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. Yep,
that would be fun.
Yeah, and I think we look at it too, right? He's got a very manageable contract, right? 4 years, 8.7, even in a flat cap world. That's a contract that you could reasonably bring in for the production that he's still going to provide.
For sure.
It's definitely one of those ones where a lot of teams should be chomping at the bit to, even though he's aging, he's going to be 34. I mean, Patrice Bergeron's 34 and he's still lighting it up for the Bruins. So I think Sidney Crosby could have a massive impact throughout the entire duration of that contract. Again, getting back to how you deconstruct everything though, is it Letang first, Malkin second,
what order
Crosby
do you do
last?
it in?
That's the thing.
How involved are the players in the trade
And
talks?
I mean, you let the market dictate, obviously, what they're worth and what packages come up. So, I mean, hey, Brian Burke and Ron Hextall have a lot of work to do there. But at the same time, if they keep winning, well, maybe your decision's made for you, at least temporarily.
We're getting some great feedback on this. And hey, we welcome your Sidney Crosby trade ideas. Send them in right now. The first one I'm going to shoot down immediately from Robin. Robin, I love your enthusiasm here.
Yeah.
Radulov, Hintz, and 2 first-round picks for Crosby. I'm saying no if I'm the Penguins.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. Radulov's still 30 plus. Hints, we still don't necessarily know what kind of player he's going to be.
Yeah.
And 2 first-round picks. Dallas is still a good team. They're mid to late round picks. I mean, hey, love the creativity, Robin. I don't necessarily know if I'm Brian Burke and Ron Hextall if I'm giving away Sidney Crosby for that package.
To me, okay, so I'm even trying to find Radulov. Is he hurt right now? Oh, he is.
Yeah.
So he's got 6.25. Hintz is at 3.15. I don't mind Hintz as a piece.
He's a good young player.
I could see him being involved, but if it's me and you're going to the Stars, it's got to be Gurianov. It's got to be Ty Dellandrea. It's got to be maybe even like a Jake Ottinger, like for a future
goalie. You're gonna need young pieces, right? You're gonna need young pieces, and again, you'll have to have that cap balancer too. Obviously, that's why I don't mind the Radulov, but
sure,
again,
maybe as a toss-in, like to make it balanced.
I think for Sidney Crosby, I don't necessarily know if we're overvaluing, but it's a 5 or 6 piece for one.
Yeah, I think for the Stars, it would be a case of it's too rich for their blood. Like they don't have enough. They don't have enough to give the Penguins. It would make sense. The Avalanche do, and maybe we'll talk about that later on in the show as well when we come back to it. We can come back to it in segment 4 of the show here, guys.
Absolutely.
We need to get to Mike Trout wanting out. There is a potential story going out there. If you can toss up the Mike Trout picture in Los Angeles, it's brewing. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, the Mighty Angels, they aren't doing good enough for Mike Trout, allegedly.
Nope.
And he's literally the best player in baseball. I don't think a ton of people would really argue that. Maybe you could say there's better infielders or whatever, but if you're talking top 3, top 5 baseball players, Mike Trout's in that conversation, if not top in the list.
Man,
a lot of people are arguing, Max, sorry to cut you off.
No worries.
A lot of people are arguing that the Angels are wasting his career because they're not doing enough around him.
This is how the breakup letter is going to read for Mike Trout.
Rockstar Supply Chain
Los Angeles / Anaheim. It's not me, it's you. That is what he needs to be saying to, I believe, Artie Moreno, the owner of the Los Angeles Angels, who made him a very, very rich man. Oh, yeah. I don't think he's going to be upset with the owner on this, but it's the general manager. It's the ability to build a team around you. We just saw it with Nolan Arenado, who, again, is another premier player in the game, arguably a top 10 player who just... It's one thing to get your payday, but you also want to win. You want to create a legacy. And since 2014, when they got swept in the ALDS, that's the only playoff action that Mike Trout, undoubted, I don't necessarily know if he could retire today and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's damn close.
He's on the track.
He's on the track, for sure.
Just one thing before I forget, because I don't want to forget about this. Nelson Hackowicz comments in, our good buddy Nelson. He says, you give Sid and Gino 2 to 3 more years with a supporting cast, then you look to move on. A lower level team will still gladly take them in 2 years. Here's the problem with that. Evgeny Malkin is a free agent after next season.
Yes.
His value plummets even after this summer. Yeah. So if you're going to move a Gino, you got to move him probably at least by this year's draft.
And that's the thing is like these
Same
guys
with Letang.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still in their mid-30s, and you want to talk about a guy who's faced injuries in his career is Chris Letang.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately you don't want to compare people to this, but hockey players are like vehicles, a little bit like depreciating assets. The more that they get older, it's going to be, I don't know. That's the thing is, do you move them now? Do you accelerate the rebuild? And I think that's what Hextall and Burke are there to do.
Right.
That kind of seems like what the ownership group is wanting to do, right? Yeah. And I mean, look at Mario Lemieux.
Same with Trout. Like the Angels are in a position right now where they have how old is Mike Trout? 29,
He's
30?
29, turning 30. He's got 5, arguably 6 fantastic years of baseball.
Yeah, they've got a couple of pitchers, if I'm not mistaken, but not many. And then Albert Pujols is sitting there, literally my favorite baseball player of all time. I love Albert Pujols. And he's sitting there making like way too much money for his age and his production level. Yeah. So if they can trade a Mike Trout for some big future pieces and then maybe move a Pujols to some team like the Yankees or something, I'm not saying that they want him, I'm just saying like a team like them, maybe you grab one young good player and you start the process. Like, I don't think they're close enough to keep wasting years of Mike Trout. It's unfortunate.
You know, Clark, my little brain just had a very big thought.
Uh-oh. Are you thinking about the Trout to Toronto start the rumor comment?
Well, yes, Mr. Monroe, we're on the same wavelength here. Now, with that being said, you know who's got the second highest rated farm system in all of baseball?
I heard it was the Blue Jays.
Your Toronto Blue Jays, yes. Excellent.
Interesting.
So what, we talked about this, and we'll have to be very quick with this.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
What's the package that goes the other way? This is probably a bigger debate for Twitter, maybe sometime this week.
Yeah.
What is the package? I know we've discussed it, I guess, a little bit. Let's involve the finalists here. What do you think?
This is what we came up with. I think we're on the same page here.
Very close.
If as the Blue Jays, I'm Mark Shapiro, you're Ross Atkins, vice versa.
Yes. I'm Mark.
And
'cause I'm clearly
we're on the
more handsome.
phone. It's Moneyball, and we're on the phone with whoever the Angels GM is. Who did you say it was?
Billy Bean. But,
Yeah.
but this
And-
is Moneyball though. This is Mike Trout.
Yeah,
It's-
you're right. Different
It's massive
conversation.
Moneyball.
It's the other way around. So hey, we're saying Vladdy Guerrero starts the
Yep.
conversation. You need to include
And I'd
Vladdy.
happily give him up.
And hey,
sorry,
his,
Vladdy.
his dad, former Angel. Maybe there's a
Yes.
connection there.
Maybe.
Probably Teoscar Hernandez.
Yep.
Or Gurriel. Do you think that they're comparable in that trade, or maybe both of them?
That's the thing. Maybe it starts and ends with that. If you give up both, you don't have to involve the very, very young prospects. You don't even have to
Right.
get into the cupboard of the farm system if you give up
Sure. I'm wondering if Grichuk has to be involved just to dump a little bit of cap.
salary.
So maybe it'd be like a Teoscar and a Grichuk. And then your outfield is Gurriel, Springer, Trout.
both. Oh, man. Just getting me all kinds of excited. sitting
We're going to
over
be
here.
bringing that up with Arash
Yeah,
Madani
we'll
in a
have
couple
to.
of minutes.
Yeah, I have a feeling he may shoot it down,
so
but
stay
we'll
tuned.
see. We'll see.
So, and honestly, if I'm the Angels, you're probably asking for Nate Pearson. I don't think that, even though it's Mike Trout, maybe I'm naive. Even though it's Mike Trout, I don't think I include Vladdy and Pearson in a trade. I mean, it's
It
so
depends what the
tantalizing.
ancillary parts are for me. I think, again, if those middling pieces, if it's a Grichuk, if it's a Gurriel, it can't be both if you include Pearson and Vladdy. You're right. And this is where, again, it's fun to put on your armchair
Man.
GM hat. Man, it's fun to sit in these armchairs and do this. But
Quick update. I hate to do this to you, Max.
Uh-oh.
Clark on the Leafs is tied again for the top. People want to hear my Leafs rant.
that's interesting because they weren't tied last night.
You're killing me today, all day. Absolutely killing me.
Hey, the Preds were delayed in Dallas. I got nothing to do but watch Leafs highlights. So.
Do you want to not waste your best years in baseball? This is a good
not.
transition.
Excellent segue.
You need, or sorry, basketball. I was in the wrong sponsor.
Okay, mediocre segue.
Okay, hold on. Do you want to not waste the best years of your basketball career?
Absolutely not.
Make sure you download the Hoop Life basketball app. Head over to your app store and download this easy-to-use basketball training program in your hands with Hoop Life basketball. They have all their training tips, all their programs, and even their virtual overtime training feature on there as well. Plus, use promo code SQUAD10 for 10% off everything. That's hooplifebasketball.com, promo code SQUAD10.
I wonder if we could use Squad 10 for the Angels to get Mike Trout.
10% off Mike
10%
Trout.
off Mike Trout.
Hey, Blue Jays, we got a promo code for you. I don't
Exactly.
know if it works at hooplifebasketball.com, but hey, give it a shot. Okay, Mark Zosel's calling for it, and by that, I'm going to give it to him. It's tied. 32 votes are in. Clark on the Leafs says 28%. Andre Drummond to the Raptors has 28%.
We can talk about the Leafs.
Let's
I'm
get
okay
it out of
with
the way. We'll put Raptors Drummond talk later in the show.
Okay. You got 3 minutes?
Less. I got to do this pretty quick here. We got to get Arash. Jordan, is Arash Madani ready? He's been waiting. Okay, I got to get
Okay,
this
we
going.
gotta go.
Arash, hang tight. I promise this won't be long. You'll probably laugh at me later in your interview about what I'm about to say. So the Leafs, they're up 5-1 yesterday.
Yes.
I thought they were rolling. This is the Vigor fan vote, by the way. Thank you, Alan. The Leafs are up 5-1. Austin Matthews scores a goal, and he's
Joe
like,
Thorne scores a goal.
Yeah. Well, Pierre Engvall scored a goal. Travis Boyd scored a goal. So I'm
Half the
like,
team scored a
they've
goal.
got to win this game, right? Their fourth line's producing. You got to win those games. Austin Matthews scores on a power play and literally just like, yeah, I scored.
Canada, Germany.
Game over.
Yep.
So, the Leafs are on another power play later in the period. John Tavares literally passes it directly to the stick of a predator. I'm looking at your hat. Senator.
On that shot, that guy was a predator.
You're right.
He was a predator
I
for
think
the
it
back of the
was.
Leafs net.
I'm trying to think who it was.
Nick
It
Paul?
wasn't Derek Stepp. Well, Paul scored the goal, but I can't remember who got that. It was Colin White or Derek Stepan, maybe.
One of the two.
Anyways, they pick it off. Nick Paul scores a goal. 5-2. 9 seconds left in the second
That
period.
Tavares' first assist in a while. He's not exactly.
No, he got one on a Matthews goal.
He's not an elite point getter anymore.
No,
so.
he's not, according to Craig Button, who will be on the Rod Peterson show tomorrow. Hey, subtle plug.
40 seconds.
Yeah, I got to get out of here. The Senators come back in the third period, and I was showing Max the highlights before the show started.
It was very cathartic. I
The
could tell.
third goal, Artyom Zub comes out of the penalty box. First-year defenseman out of Russia. Breakaway, nifty move. Anderson bites, hard goal. The fourth goal was gorgeous. Thomas Chabot gets the puck, skater, guide all over him, defender all over him. Spin pass across the entire ice to Connor Brown, I believe, who passes it to the middle, who passes it back. Connor Brown back in the net, 5-4. Then the Sens pull their goalie with 2.5 minutes left. And I'm thinking, all right, the Leafs are really good at scoring on empty nets. This will be fine. Why did I give them the benefit of the doubt? Then, so they're scrambling, they're buzzing in their end. They get a puck to, I think it was Shabbat, who passed it into the slot. The puck is 4 feet in the air, fluttering. Dadonov knocks it out of the air. Are you kidding me? A 4 foot in the air baseball backhand out of the air for Evgeny Dadonov to tie the game with like a minute left or however long it was. Absolutely ridiculous. And I hear everybody then ragging on Morgan Rielly in overtime. For some reason, this was what people were upset about. Morgan Rielly not passing it to Austin Matthews at the side of the net in overtime. He had an open net. Mitch Marner just undressed everybody. Rielly has an open net, and people are mad that he didn't pass it to Austin Matthews. I think people should be mad that they were even in overtime. It shouldn't have been in overtime. And then there's people who are mad at Freddie Anderson.
Clark. And how did this make you feel?
I'm telling you how it made me feel, Max.
No, you're dancing around. I need to get right to the core of the emotion. Clark, how did this make you feel? I have the therapist glasses on.
I'll tell you how it made me feel. Okay. A lot of people asked me after the game. And rightfully so, there was a joke about it. Hey, what was worse, losing to a Zamboni driver or this? And I was like, losing to a Zamboni driver was way worse. That stakes were way higher in that game. It was right before the trade deadline. They were trying to prove to their general manager that they were worth adding to.
And they clearly weren't.
And they weren't. They were terrible at that point in time. So, of course, they're not going to add. That was a terrible time to lose that type of game. They couldn't score on a guy who was a 42-year-old Zamboni driver. My dad's chirping me in the comments now. But this game, to me, it was a struggle. They collapsed, absolutely. But it was nowhere near the Zamboni driver level of
So
badness.
Here's the next poll question, Clark. So, 2013 third period.
Oh, you're doing this to me.
Zamboni driver.
It's the Mount Rushmore.
It is the Mount Rushmore. Actually, we don't have enough heads for this. But
no, there's four. There's four major ones.
In your lifetime?
In the last, 6 years.
So what about the previous 18?
Nobody cares about those.
Okay. What was the worst? What was the crippling one?
It's the two Boston Game 7s.
Of course.
The Zamboni driver and then last night are the ones that everyone's joking about. I still think Boston Game 7 4-1 lead is the top of the list.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
There's the Boston Game 7 game. There's a mile of mud, and then there's the other ones. It's not even close. The Boston, yeah. I have a great story about the Boston game where it was a where were you moment. I was playing baseball and my buddy was play-by-playing from the dugout. I was playing third base or something, and he was yelling at me hey, Boston scored, and I was like, oh well, they're still at 4-2. Anyways. We're heading into a break. We got to get Arash Madani on. I could literally go for an hour about this.
Was that cathartic though, Clark? Did you get everything out?
I might feel a little better, but not really.
Better? Okay, good.
So we talked about Hoop Life Basketball. We're talking about Vigor. This is brought to you by Vigor Lifestyles. Vigor. Visit vigor.ca. That's vigr.ca to head to the path for health and health supplements for you. We're going to a break. I'm just getting a call from Chad. Chad's not coming up after the break. Arash Madani's coming up after the break from Sportsnet. We're talking Blue Jays. We'll see you after the break. I need a breather.
Yeah.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. While the world seems to be facing one challenge after another, our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
He's covering everything that matters to you. It's the Rod Peterson Show. Tune in live Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to noon to catch the show live and be a part of the action. Take control by commenting live and sharing the show with your friends.
Everyday hoop life.
IKS Live. IKS Live. Western Canada's premier production services company. LED sign rentals. Video production. Event management. Look no further than IKS Live. Visit our website. IKS Live. Always the best seat in the house. IKS Live.
Max, I am still coming down off that Mike Trout debate we just came off
man.
of. My goodness. What do you think? What do you think after that chat, like coming down? What do you think, Mike Trout? Is he going to be on the Angels after all is said and done?
He's going to be a Blue Jay, Clark.
He's going to be a Blue Jay?
He's going to be a Blue Jay. That's all I can say. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm thinking.
What a better guest to bring in than talk about that, among other things. But let's serve it up for the first guest of the night here. Max, can you smell baseball?
A little bit. Just a bit.
Do you hear the gloves snapping?
The pine tar, as it were.
Can you smell it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. Pitchers and catchers are reporting in less than 2 days, Max. And we had to line up Blue Jays reporter, Blue Jackets fan, and Bishop's University grad of all things, Arash Madani from Sportsnet, for his second appearance on the SquadCast. Arash, thank you for taking some time for us today. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. So are Springer and Trout just going to be the outfield? They're going to go kind of a hybrid two-man outfield?
I'm living in an idealistic world, Arash. It's like I said, we'll see what happens. We'll see how the dominoes fall, but that's the world I'm living in.
I mean, they signed enough infielders. They probably could field 5 infielders and just put Trout and Springer out there. Hey,
So
I'm for it.
men's slow pitch? They'll just be a rover? Is that Biggio's just going to be all over the place?
Well, isn't that the definition of a 5-tool player? You can literally play him anywhere,
Yeah.
right?
Invent a new position. You might as well be innovative.
Max, don't say that too loud. The analytics folks may hear you and start getting into their spreadsheets and come up with something.
That's right. We don't like those folks. No.
The Max Ritz rule.
That's right.
Arash, I want to get into the Blue Jackets with you in a little bit. I want to talk NFL with you in a little bit, but we can't bury the lead. Baseball is coming back. You're excited. We're excited. The Jays are the talk of the town for a change in the major leagues, making a splash this offseason. How huge for this team is adding George Springer and Marcus Semien? We haven't talked to you since the 2 big additions. I want to know your thoughts on them. I know it's been a lot of people have talked about it, but I want to hear your thoughts on the 2 big adds for the Jays.
Well, I think, guys, when you think about what they wanted to do this offseason, they talk about wanting to improve defensively. And however they wanted to frame it in terms of run prevention or whatever it was. And to do that, it was going to be up the middle. Now, I really wondered where JT Realmuto may have fit into the equation. I wonder if Springer hadn't landed in Toronto, if they would have gone all in on Realmuto, so, and then you had Semien. So at some point up the middle, there was going to be an upgrade. They like Danny Jansen. They love JT Realmuto, but obviously once they got Springer,
who wouldn't?
Right. So now you have yourself the guy who finished 3rd in MVP voting in 2019, down season in a 60-game window in 2020, and you have yourself Springer, who has played as many postseason games in his career as the Blue Jays have in their history. So as much as they're signing George Springer for 162, they brought George Springer in for October. An October performer, a proven October performer, a performer when the lights are on, not only doesn't shy away from it, delivers in it. So I like it, but as we sit here on Tuesday evening, I'm thinking to myself, they still need an arm or two, don't they?
Possibly.
Potentially. And we'll get into that. Arash, I know last time we had you on with us, it was a kind of a moment of uncertainty. We didn't know how many games were going to be played. We didn't know how much money was going to be out there. And the one thing we talked about a little bit with you was Vladdy Jr. Now, we kind of have a little bit more on the Vladdy Jr. path. Like, we've kind of seen him now in person. He's definitely slimmed down, to say the least. Now, last time we talked to you, I asked, what do you think his chances of playing third base are? There was a little bit of back and forth. We've heard a lot in the last couple of weeks, and I don't know if this is just media such as yourself, getting some stories going into spring training, or if there's actually some seriousness to it. But Jordan Groshans and Austin Martin are all over the news. They're top 10 prospects. Groshans has come out and said he wants to be in the big leagues. Martin's made an impression. They're knocking on the door. So how do you see this team shaking down, specifically in the infield, adding Semien, et cetera, et cetera? What do you think it's going to look like?
Well, let's look at it from two windows. First of all, everybody gets so caught up in what's the opening day roster going to be. Right. It really doesn't matter what the opening day roster is going to be, because in a week they could make some moves and maybe altogether different. But based on the conversations I've had with Blue Jay personnel, this is the way it's been presented to me, that for the most part, what they're looking at, and if they play 162, we still don't know if they will or not. I'm really not convinced, guys, they're going to. But over the course of this season, whatever that number is, barring injury or terrible underperformance, the way from 5 out of the 7 days a week you can kind of bank on the Blue Jay infield looking is Guerrero at first, Semien at second, Bichette at short, and then really Biggio playing the bulk at third base, but they're going to play Biggio all over the place, just like they did last year. I think he played like 5 different defensive positions. Now, will that mean Vlad could play some third, spot duty, work on him there? Absolutely. I haven't checked his Instagram lately. He had Blue Jay third baseman as his bio. He played winter ball at third base. He's hell-bent on getting back there. And the Blue Jays haven't fully closed the door on that yet. But in terms of the 2021 season, the way they have it penciled on the whiteboard right now is that's how it will shake out for the majority of the games. Guerrero at first, Semien second, Bichette at short, and then Biggio for most of third, but he's flexible.
So let's say we go through a couple days of spring training and maybe even a couple weeks into the season, and Vladdy's looking like a stud at third base. All right? Let's hypothetically say that. Do they have depth at first base?
Played at this point, though? No, but let me just stop you there.
No, go ahead.
At first or at third?
I'm thinking sorry, go ahead. No, I'm interrupting you.
But my question is, you said, let's say he's been a stud at third base, but if we're 2 weeks into the season, I really don't see him playing more than 2 or 3 games at third at that point.
That's fair. So that's a good point. I'm just saying, let's say he comes out and shows signs that he really wants to steal that third base spot. Maybe he's adamantly, I want to play third base. Don't put me anywhere else. I'm just saying, is there enough depth at first base if that happens? Rowdy Tellez is there. Who's behind Rowdy? Are they going to keep putting Gurriel there? Like, what are we going to see? I know they got some durability, some flexibility. What do you think in terms of the depth position for that first base slot?
I truthfully haven't even thought about it. It really hasn't been on my radar. I've thought more about what the DH spot is going to be. And where does the DH spot slide into the order? Guys, I could present a number of different lineups to you, and legitimately the DH spot could be in the 7 or the 8 hole this season.
Yeah. I could see 9.
Right. I can tell you this, the Blue Jays would love to see what Rowdy Tellez is with 500 at-bats this season. If it's a combination of first base and DH, then you get your full evaluation, you get your real idea of who and what he is. It's not back and forth to Buffalo. It's not, he's the spot guy behind Justin Smoke and we'll fit him in. They would love to have Guerrero as their cleanup hitter. That's truly organizationally. They would love to have Vlad as the number 4 hitter. Now, what does that mean? I think you're looking at Springer, Simeon, 1-2 in the order most nights, although Biggio could slide in there too. Then if you have Bichette in the 3-hole, Vlad hitting cleanup, suddenly you have Teoscar batting 5th right behind Vlad. Again, these are all February 16th, haven't lost a game yet. Everything's fine and dandy. Nobody's injured. Everybody's reporting to camp in the best shape of their lives. So that's how this kind of, to me, has some real intrigue on how it plays out. I haven't thought about depth at first base. Yeah, you mentioned Joe Panik earlier. Panik's around. You have, an adult in the room, a vet that you could play anywhere. He could play second. He could play third if he makes the team. So I'm really intrigued also. They have to add another pitcher. They have to. Another starting pitcher. Is Gurriel in play or not? I don't know. But if they make another move, and if that move is trade, and if that trade involves somebody, suddenly if Gurriel's part of that package, for instance, that changes how Kevin Biggio would be used in the whole puzzle. So there are still a lot of dominoes that need to fall before we know what this 26-man roster may look like.
Yeah, absolutely, Arash. And again, right, February 16th, everybody's undefeated. Everything's looking good. Now, we touched on it here, obviously, the arms. Do you think, as far as Avenue is concerned, is it Odorizzi, Walker, or do they use some of that surplus in the outfield and possibly look for a trade partner here? We saw the Mats deal a little bit underwhelming for what they need in terms of their rotation. What do you think their best course of action is, or is there rumblings of maybe they're a little further along the line with Walker, like we all hope so?
Yeah, the Taijuan Walker thing is really interesting because the organization liked him. The clubhouse liked him. Walker seemed to like the Blue Jay situation. But ultimately it takes, money and term to come to a deal. And the combination of COVID, collusion, and the fact that a CBA is up at the end of this season has made the market very soft. So here we are going into camp, and how many free agents have actually signed? It was just a day or two ago that Matt Shoemaker got 1 year, $2 million. So I would think Taijuan Walker's on the radar. I think they would like to have him. I think it's about the numbers adding up. I still think that why not do both? Why not go get a Taijuan Walker, and why not make a trade? If there's one thing we've learned about pitching over the years, guys, is that you can never have enough of them, and the depth is so vital to this. And yes, they're excited about Simeon, Woods, Richardson, and yes, there are some arms in the pipeline. They're all unproven right now to pitch at the big league level, including Nate Pearson, who I believe has the stuff to be a stud, but is he there yet? And so with all these question marks, I'm just of the belief the Blue Jays are far from done when it comes to pitching. I know they had some interest in James Paxton. I think the injury history kind of had the Jays and some other teams a little weary of him. So I still think there's a move or two left when it comes to the arms.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're all waiting on that. Before my next question, Arash, you just said it fantastically. Is that a piece that we can expect on sportsnet.ca soon? The 3 C's, COVID, collusion, and the CBA in terms of baseball? I think we've got a headline right there. But anyways.
Well, I think that COVID and collusion are going to weigh heavily in CBA at the end of the 2021 season.
100%. It all ties into each other.
And the CFL, too. You could make it the 4 C's. Collusion in the CFL. You could add it all. It's all the same article, I think.
Oh, boy. We just got meat on that bone all the way for Arash right through winter into the spring here. Yeah. Fantastic. Now, obviously, the offseason is not done yet, Arash. But if you were to give a letter grade to Ross and Mark for what they've done thus far and what you maybe hope they still have yet to do, what would it be today, and what would it take to maybe improve the letter grade that you give them?
I would say that they are probably at a B+ level, and it takes another starter or two for it to become an A.
Got to be 2. I like that.
Look, the A right now goes to San Diego, Slam Diego. The Padres have improved significantly across the board. They were not just a playoff team; they were a playoff team that gave LA their money's worth. In a lot of ways, I thought the Padres were the walk before you run They have to go through it. They have to learn it. I think the NL West is going to be bananas this year with San Diego and LA. I think the National League is going to be a blast because Atlanta's gotten a lot better just with the return of Mike Soroka. They re-up Ozuna. So I put San Diego 1, and I would say that the Blue Jays are number 2 in baseball in terms of what their offseason has been. But we say that with what is their rotation? Ryu, Ray, Pearson, and then a bunch of names.
Right.
So, and Pearson still at the big league level is unproven. So to me, if they're going to take that step, take that next step, here you are. And, next offseason, the shortstop market is going to be big, but who knows what kind of money you have to play with? Who knows what the CBA is going to be? Who knows? Here's a chance, but there are so many uncertainties because of the economics of the game to really know kind of what's coming.
And see, that's been my biggest narrative, I guess, for these last couple weeks. We've seen the big bats come into the lineup, but who are you giving the ball to in the playoffs has been my biggest question. Ryu wasn't even your game 1 starter last year. Now you can say there was a strategy behind that, whatever it happens to be. He's going to be your game 1 starter this year. Nate Pearson, to me, should be the guy that's the maybe guy. He's your 4th starter if you need him in a pinch. Maybe he plays his way into that role, and we all hope he does, obviously. But to me, they've got to bring in a couple guys who you feel comfortable handing the ball to in the playoffs. Am I wrong?
Well, first you got to get there. And I just think that, let's remember, they got the last spot in an expanded playoffs in a 60-game season. They got to get there first. And to get there, you need to have guys that you can rely on to give the ball on the regular. I get that some people believe starting pitching is the way of the dinosaur. I don't. Why'd Tampa get there last year? Charlie Morton, Blake Snell were just lights bleeping out. How money was Walker Buehler for Atlanta? How you look at for the Dodgers, how money was Atlanta's staff? So yes, look, to me, Taijuan Walker makes a ton of sense. The last offseason, Jake Odorizzi was on the Blue Jays radar. Could that be in the mix? Is there a pitcher that is available via trade? Could very well be. But I'm with you. You need more arms. You need more proven arms. That's why that first letter, as good as the offseason has been, doesn't start with an A yet.
So speaking of proven arms, we saw Trevor Bauer's hype train light up the offseason. It was the biggest thing since sliced bread, Trevor Bauer. And he has similar career stats to Tanner Roark, who arguably the Jays fans aren't so happy with right now.
I wasn't happy with a few of his appearances last year. No.
So he gets one of the biggest contracts in baseball. The Dodgers have upwards of 7 starting pitchers now. You talked about the Mets loading up. You talked about the Braves getting stronger. You talked about the Cardinals getting Nolan Arenado, among others. But the NL, like you mentioned, is kind of going to be a crazy circus, is it not? Like, who do you think stands right now in the top 2 or 3? Maybe the top 1. Who's the top team in the NL right now? Who's going to be at the top of the heap?
Well, I mean, the smart money is on the Dodgers just because they're the champs and they brought everybody back, didn't they?
Mostly.
And then added.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then went out and got Bauer. I just think back, guys, to that NLCS. I covered it from the studio. Atlanta led 3-2 without Soroka. Mm-hmm. They had LA by the short and curlies, and Mookie Betts and his glove made some series-changing, era-defining defensive plays that just changed it. Now, the whole thing with all of this, and again, San Diego's on the rise. The whole thing with all of this is that you don't pick up where you left off. Everybody starts at 0 And so it's such a long grind of a season. So much can go right, but so much can go wrong, and injuries and this and that and setbacks and adversity. And look, gun to my head, Dodgers are the team. They're getting David Price back too. Don't forget that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
a lot of people forget he didn't pitch last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. There's just something about the Padres. They're young, they're flamboyant, they're fun. They upgraded their pitching. I just think that is a good friend of mine in the office. He's a big Dodgers fan, and he works on our baseball coverage. And I saw him in the office last week, and I said, "My man, I hope we're working Jays games like the 7:00 slot, and we get some Dodgers Padres after, because we're going to go find a patio." Like I just think that June, July, Dodgers Padres is going to be must-see TV.
Yeah.
Plus, they hit grand slams when they're already up by a few runs, and some people don't like that. I like that.
Which is even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it a lot better. It makes it so much more fun.
Yeah.
Add the fireworks. And man, that Fernando Tatis Jr. kid, I know we haven't mentioned his name yet, but if that kid gets any better, yeah, the NL's got to look out for years to come, because the Padres are loaded and ready to roll with him leading that lineup anyway.
Big fan of the Padres here, too. So, Arash, I keep going back to last time we had you on, but I feel like so much has changed since last time, and I don't know how long ago that was.
About 16 weeks or so.
You were on one of our first 5 or 6 shows anyways, when we were getting started. Last time we had you on, we asked you, okay, how many games are they going to play? Wasn't sure. Where are they going to play? Hard to say. How much money is anybody going to have? Not quite sure. Now, we're in a much more certain position now. Not quite there yet, but let's get those questions back. How many games are they going to play? Where are the Jays playing games? And, what's this season kind of going to look like?
Still a lot of unknowns. I still don't know how many games they're going to play, guys. I really don't.
They're all going to spring, right? They want to play 162.
So they say.
Yeah.
So they say. Look, I think what's the underbelly of all of this is that the CBA expires at the end of this season. It's going to be very ugly. The league and the owners and the players, there's incredible distrust. They're all going to spring training as if it's standard operating procedure, and there are going to be breakouts of COVID in these facilities because the players aren't bubbled. They're going back into Arizona and Florida, 2 hotspots. It's inevitable. So what's going to happen when that happens? I still think they are going to play a minimum of 130 games. I think that number will likely be in the 145 range. So it's going to be a different season. We're seeing cancellations or postponements in the NHL and NBA. It's going to happen in baseball at some point. Something's got to give there, and I'm just not sure what it is. The Blue Jays will start in Dunedin. That will be their home park when the regular season gets underway. We all live in Canada. We know the situation. The border remains closed. It just feels like there's no end in sight to this thing. The Raptors, just last week, the announcement came that they're playing the rest of their games in the playoffs in Tampa. So under that backdrop, their season's going to go into June, July. If all the stars align, the Blue Jays could be back here for the second half of the season, or maybe the tail end of the season and/or playoffs. I still think that's at best hopeful for that to happen. Now, do they end up in Buffalo for the second half of the season? I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to happen with AAA, blah, blah, blah. But we now, living in COVID means we are living day to day, week to week in everything that we do. So I would say that the first half of the season, you can bank on the Blue Jays calling Dunedin TD Ballpark their spring training home, their actual home ballpark.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're still kind of in that world where we don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but north of the border, all we can hope is that things kind of get back to normal-ish as soon as possible. But
a lot of champions come out of Florida. I wouldn't be too mad if
Tampa Bay,
they're down
right?
there.
Yeah, that's true. But Rash, I want to return to the Jays for just one more question here. Now, many of us forget that this is still a very, very young ball club. As he alluded to earlier, you go out and get George Springer with aspirations of October. There's no question the fan base has expectations now. But what's the litmus test for this young group? What do they have to do, whether if it's performance at the start of the season, acquiring a player? What is that thing that's going to make them true legitimate contenders coming out of the American League this season?
It's a good question. I don't know. Who's the best team in the AL right now, guys?
All of them.
The
Yankees. Yeah. It's not Tampa anymore.
No.
Tampa basically gave up again.
The White Sox are maybe making a push.
Yeah, the White Sox look pretty good.
White Sox, Yankees. I wouldn't put Boston in there anymore.
No. Possibly the Twins?
Possibly the Twins, yeah. The AL's wide open. Clark mentioned earlier, the NL's the arms races in the National League. And I just wonder, depending on how the season goes, the other question is, if you're the Jays, it's not just a trade deadline ad. If you're in some kind, if you get off to a hot start, first 6 weeks of the season, first couple of months of the season, do you then go add then? Do you then go add more arms then? I still wonder how much this season is about evaluation, because let's remember, guys, then this is an important part of this. As important as winning is, you're not putting butts in the seats. You're not getting the payoff of revenue of people coming to the stadium. So maybe a lot of this is about evaluating what you have when you have to start making decisions on when it's time to who are we going to pay and who are we not going to pay? And if we're going to give some of these young kids a look, what are they going to look like? It's so hard to know, because with the CBA up, who knows what service time is going to mean anymore? Right. Like, there are so many questions still that remain, to me, fascinating in all of this, because I think all we're doing, like so many things with COVID, is we're still just guessing.
You mentioned a minute ago, Arash, that the Raptors have come out and said that they're staying in Tampa. There's a lot of news about the Raptors right now that they're maybe looking to add. What do you think about the whole Andre Drummond situation? And should they just have picked him 8th overall in 2012 instead of wasting that pick on Terrence Ross? I say that in jest, but sort of seriously.
Yeah, I just don't see how the Drummond piece fits into their salary structure. I think it was kind of floated out there. Do the Raptors need another big? Absolutely. Should they have given that extra year to Serge Ibaka? Yes. In retrospect. Aaron Baines was a miss. There's no question there. But I just don't see Drummond, because of the fitting into what they want to do. If you trade Lowry, it's over. You're pulling the chute on it. Mm-hmm. And again, what's the appetite to win? It's such a weird question right now, because if you're MLSE, how much have you lost on this team? I mean, guys, there were people lined up. You have to understand this. June of 2019 sounds like a long time ago. In COVID times, it feels a long time ago. 19 months ago, there were people in this city who waited an hour and a half in line on a hot-ass day to spend $44.95 on a white T-shirt with a real ugly stamp on it that said NBA champions. Yeah. The Raptors organization, MLSE, were blowing their noses into $100 bills. People were paying upwards of $35,000, $40,000 for a courtside seat to the NBA Finals when it was here. And now you go from that, not that long ago, to zero. Actually, less than zero, because now you're paying. You have a hotel beside the arena that's now your practice facility, and all the costs of basically having a remote facility. So this whole thing is just so wild.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an understatement.
It's a scary reality, yes. That's for sure.
So, Arash, we talked about it a bit earlier, but I wanted to get into the Blue Jackets with you. You're one of the only people I know who claim to be a Blue Jackets believer, and I'll say believer because that's what your Twitter profile says. So right now, they're kind of in some crazy situations themselves, talking about teams and changes and things. Tortorella, Laine, Roslovic's been a great addition to the team.
He's been a stud. Let's not understand.
But
he's been a stud.
What are some of your early thoughts on the whole Laine-Tortorella relationship, that trade in general, and then on top of that, the team overall this year? What are you thinking about the Jackets?
You know, it's so the timing of this is wonderful because it's the day after the blessed Maple Leafs of Toronto.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
Hold on. Led 5-1 over the worst team in hockey and blew it. So what we learned was a 4-1 lead wasn't enough. A 5-1 lead wasn't enough.
You're killing
and
me,
when
Arash.
the whole line,
5, Clark.
yes. When the Laine Dubois stuff was going on, friends of mine, Leaf fans, were like, "Oh man, like look how dysfunctional the Blue Jackets are." I'm like, "Yeah, cool. They've won a playoff round each of the last 2 years. When's the last time your team has?" Like you can say whatever you want about John, but he won a playoff series last year. His team won a playoff series last year. His team swept Tampa the previous year. Lightning go on to win the Stanley Cup last year. I don't know if John Tortorella's methods work with today's athlete. John Tortorella is his own man. He believes in what he's doing. He believes in doing it this way, whatever this way is. It won them the Stanley Cup in 2004, and here we are. So I don't see him changing, but immediately Laine comes in expecting superstar treatment. He yaps off to an assistant coach, and he gets benched. That's John Tortorella. That's the Blue Jackets. That's not going to change.
And then he comes out and gets in a fight the next game. So, I mean, it worked.
Right.
It worked.
To everybody in the organization, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And we have Rich Sutter on our show often on Rod's show, and I've been following the Blue Jackets a little closer over the last little while. It's an interesting team.
Well, Jack Roslovic, what a steal, hey?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
the Jets were looking for a second-line center. It seems like they had it.
Should have maybe kept them. Arash, we're going to let you go here, but I want to get in a few rapid quick fires before I let you go. It's kind of how we wrap up with our guests. A lot of these ones that I have for you are going to be NFL-based, but I got a couple other ones for you, too. So we're going to start off with this. Day one closer for the Jays. Who you got?
Jordan Romano.
Ooh, I knew you were going to say Jordan
Nice.
Romano. I love it.
Not mad at that.
Does Patrick Laine sign long-term with the Jackets?
He does.
Okay, I like it as well. Does Russell Wilson start next season as a Seahawk?
He does.
And can you maybe just take 20 seconds? Give us your reason why on that one, because I think so too, but a lot of people seem to not think that.
It's for the same reason I think Deshaun Watson's going to be in Houston. There are so many junk quarterbacks all over the place making a ton of money. Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. What was Andy Dalton making? What was, it's Mitch Trubisky on the precipice of potentially making. It takes you so long to find a guy. Once you have a guy, you keep the guy.
Brock Osweiler. Let's go with J.J. Watt. What jersey is he wearing next year?
Oh, I hope any jersey except Green Bay's. I think it'd be a ton of fun if he ended up in Buffalo on that defense.
Oh,
I heard a rumor today that he's hanging out with DeAndre Hopkins down in Arizona wearing Arizona Cardinals gear. I heard a rumor. I'm not saying that's happening.
Saw a Photoshop.
Yeah, one of
Same
our fans told me. Now Max background? He's a St. Louis Rams.
Oh wow.
He's a LA Rams fan. Are they NFC title favorites?
I hope so, because the minute I heard about the Stafford trade, I instantly went and made a little investment on a future.
I might have.
So
I might have as well.
My buddy Garvin did the minute he heard about the Brady signing, he went and got Tampa at like 40-1 or 45-1, and that cashed nice for him. So
Nice.
I'm hoping that happened for me.
The old long-term retirement investments,
Absolutely.
Speaking of Tom, can he win another one?
Sure. Why not?
Sure. I like
He's
that.
done it 7 times before.
I mean, hey, and you kind of alluded to it. Go ahead.
They should be better next year. They were 7-5 through 12 weeks without an off season.
Yeah.
And then, they didn't lose after that. But through the first 12 weeks, they should be better than 7-5.
Yeah.
And LaShawn McCoy is retiring, so that's a massive hole they got to fill.
Nice.
He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Yep.
Now, you're a Vikings fan. You got the helmet. You got the horns. I hate to bring this up, but who's going to be the quarterback next season for you guys?
Oh, it'll be Cousins, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You can't get it. Yeah, it's impossible to get out of that contract.
Hey, the Rams got out from under Jared Goff. You just have to give up like your next first round picks, Arash. That's all it is.
Right.
Ruin your future to
Right.
get rid of Cousins. Arash, that'll do it. That's it. That's all we got for you. Huge thanks for joining us on episode 20, your second appearance. You're on your way to a 5-time jacket, Arash.
Yep.
We're making plans already. We will stay in touch. And, hey, good luck with the upcoming Blue Jays broadcast. Good luck in spring training. We're very excited to see how it all shakes down. So we hope to see you on the broadcast soon.
Thanks a ton, Arash.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Good to see you guys again.
All right. And that was Arash Madani, of course, brought to you by our good friends over at IKS Media. IKS Media is your premier destination for event planning, live broadcasts, and entertainment, video screens, and so much more. Visit iksmedia.ca for more information to find out how your event can become the hottest ticket in town. We'll be right back after the break. We got a special guest in the bunker, and I'm going to let Max take over. So
boy.
we'll see you after the break. Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. While the world seems to be facing one challenge after another, our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
He's covering everything that matters to you. It's the Rod Peterson Show. Tune in live Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to noon to catch the show live and be a part of the action. Take control by commenting live and sharing the show with your friends.
Everyday hoop life.
IKS Live. IKS Live. Western Canada's premier production services company. LED sign rentals. Video production. Event management. Look no further than IKS Live. Visit our website. IKS Live. Always the best seat in the house. IKS Live.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, geez, it was good to have Arash Madani on. I tell you, that was a fun little interview. But we've got to send out a special welcome to our next guest, Chris Cater, president of North Regina Little League. How's it going tonight, Chris? How was the Family Day weekend?
It was good. It was quiet. Lots of baseball training as usual. Little gym workouts. So
Nice, fantastic.
Baseball's ramping up.
It's the thing, right? It's minus 40. Trying to do what you can inside, stay warm, and all that fun stuff. Right on. That's fantastic. Well, we're here to talk North Regina Little League. We know you guys have registration open right now. Give us the ins, give us the outs. What's everything that's going on with registration?
We do. We opened it up end of January here. So right now we have a no obligation registration. So go on, sign up. We moved from Team Snap to Ramp this year.
Awesome.
Ramp gives us a little more depth on the admin side, but a lot of people have it already. So we moved over to Ramp, but we're offering, as I said, a no obligation. Come register. Once we know that we're having a season, then we're going to ask for payment at that time, right? So, and then once we ask for payment, our refund policy is probably one of the best in the city when it comes to sports. We're, if we have a season, we don't have a season. If it's not what you're expecting, we're only got a 10% holdback on there. A lot of other organizations are 20, 25, 30%. So, we learned a lot last year with COVID of, who wants to play baseball and who doesn't, who wants to be involved in sports. And so we really took a solid approach to that. Registration goes all the way to March 15th this year. So sign up right now. We have almost 200 kids signed up for baseball this year, which is really good at this point compared to last year. We're a little ahead of schedule, even though it is a COVID year. So I think a lot of people are just taking that approach of, you know what, summer was good last year. COVID numbers go down. Baseball is one of those games where you're separated automatically, right? You might be on first base or close, for 10, 30 seconds, but then you're gone again.
Absolutely.
So, your right fielder, your left fielder, they ain't standing by nobody.
No, that's for sure, right? That's the great thing
they're
about
out
the game.
in the middle of nowhere. So,
Yeah.
So registration closes March 15th, and then we've got our evals already set. We've got them set at the Evraz Exhibition Building, 19th, 20th, 21st. Of course, looks a little different, right?
For sure.
COVID protocols. We only have 8 kids coming in, 10-minute cycles. So one leaves, another 2 come in. But, it's part of the gig right now. We've got to learn and adapt to different things.
Yeah, 100%.
And then with the SAS government coming out and extending it today again, it is what it is. Kids can still get out there and train, but we just make evaluations as safe as possible for everybody. So
Absolutely. And that's fantastic that you guys are looking for every avenue possible while maintaining the safety protocols that need to be in place. It's, again, just a very admirable thing that I know a lot of organizations are trying to do around the city, keep kids active in the winter. That's fantastic. And again, the flexibility too with payment plans right now, I'm sure that's something everyone appreciates at this moment.
Yeah, we're having a really good feedback from the registration, right? It's that no obligation, right? We don't know what's going to happen. We're all itching, I know, to get out there, but baseball is one of those things that you can train still. You can train at 8 max, and there's a lot of good organizations throughout the cities that we're partnered with. RBI, Inside Pitch, just down the street here, are doing a fantastic job with training kids for baseball, and baseball is full across the city, and I expect numbers to go up this summer with it. So
absolutely. And we were talking about just before we came on here, right, just how much baseball we certainly hope is going to explode. I know Clark and I are obviously massive fans of the game. We know that you guys and your family are very, very involved with the game, especially at the grassroots level here in Regina. It would just be so fantastic to see it boom on such a cataclysmic level that hopefully this city is just continuing to grow and develop fantastic baseball players as it has in the most recent years.
100%. Baseball is definitely on an uptrend. Sad to see hockey not go in the games, but as a baseball fanatic, president of the Little League, I'm very happy that more kids are leaning towards baseball right now and putting the time and the effort. Baseball is one of those things that you know, you don't have to be the most talented kid. You don't have to be the biggest kid. You don't have to have the strongest arm. But if you put in that effort, it will pay off. So
absolutely. And again, just taking advantage of the winters, right? That's the one thing that, again, I know we've talked about time and time again, where maybe Saskatchewan kids, when we're dealing with minus 40, bit of a disadvantage to only have 3 or 4 outside months in the summer.
Yeah.
But having these winter months, taking advantage of it in the most innovative ways possible that I know you guys are doing, it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, 100%. You know, as you said, when we were growing up, it was baseball and then it was hockey, because there was nothing to do for baseball in the winter. It was just straight up hockey. So with more and more of these training facilities opening up in the city, they're full. They're absolutely full, and it's hard to get a spot.
Absolutely.
Right now. So it's great to see.
For sure. And at the major league level, pitchers and catchers are reporting, which is awesome to see. I know us Blue Jays fans, we're getting ready to go for the season. Wanted to throw up a Blue Jays question to you. What do you think of their offseason so far? We've obviously had a couple of big ads, Marcus Semien, George Springer. What are you expecting out of the big club this year in Toronto?
First of all, they need to gel. They need that continuity between them all. With that many big stars coming in, right? Everybody has to find their role. Everybody has to find their place, right? You already had big stars in there of Biggio, Bichette, Vladdy, and then you're adding Springer, right? You've got a lot of guys in there that need to mesh and find their role. You know, if Vladdy's not playing one day and he's DH'd, well, who's going to take that DH? And you know, it's a big acceptance thing to find that role within your organization. And you know, I think they've made a lot of great strides in the right direction. I think they're taking the win now approach, and that's what sports has turned to.
Yeah,
fans don't want to pay that top dollar for tickets. Well, not right now, but tickets to watch a team lose.
Exactly. No,
they want exciting, fun baseball, and you get that with good players.
Absolutely. And I think we saw it, especially at the grassroots level, right? What 2015, 2016 did for just the baseball fever around here, when you had Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Bautista becoming household names, right? Especially for kids at 5, 6, 7 years old. It's something that they weren't watching the years before when it was Roy Halladay on his own. So it's going to be fantastic, hopefully, to have a winning baseball team bless our country again, and I certainly can't wait for it. But
the Blue Jays, with them being the only Canadian team, and they already give so much back, but if they're winning, it skyrockets baseball. The Blue Jays give more money back to different organizations. They're already doing so much, but it puts more money in their pockets to give to us. I know we've received the Blue Jays Grant Foundation twice now, but you know, it helps out baseball when the Blue Jays win.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, kind of going back to that grassroots level for us in North Regina here, talk about a little bit, I guess, the Chase the Ace. I know we had a bit of a gap in the last few months, and with the updates of what was going on there. Is that a program that you guys achieved a lot of success with and anticipate on doing next year?
We did. You know, our fundraiser, Lady Savannah, just took that and ran with it. Chase the Ace was one of our most successful fundraisers ever. We ended up just ending it just before Christmas here, and I believe the winner walked away with something like $21,000.
Wow.
Just before Christmas. So
nice.
North Regina did really well on the financial other end of it to put money back into our organization. We've got a big tournament coming up in the 2023 Canadians, if that happens. So we've got to take all that momentum forward, right?
That's fantastic.
Right now, we've got another fundraiser going on. It's a Mom's Pantry fundraiser. So you go in there, you spend over $100, you get 10 North Regina bucks, and you can put them towards your child's registration.
Fantastic.
So go check that out on the website. You know, we've had good success so far. I think we've raised almost $3,000 for our league.
Fantastic.
But also giving those parents back $10, right? And you know, our fees are probably one of the lowest in the city when it comes to baseball. You know, you're looking at a 5, 6-year-old's fees at $150. Well, you know, you get $50 in North Regina bucks put towards it.
Yeah.
There's almost your season of baseball. And we're really big on working bingos to help parents pay for the registration. And right now, with no bingos helping, we wanted to do something that helped the parents pay for baseball.
That's awesome.
You know, we have a lot of different things with kids sport and stuff, but with stuff that we're doing within the organization. We want to help those parents out that may not be able to put that child in sports.
And again, at a time where everybody needs a break financially at these times, right? So that's fantastic that you guys are continuing to just find those programs and again, contribute back on a local level. It's again, in these times anyways, it's awesome to see local companies, again, to borrow your term, gelling at the right time when everybody needs it. Now, I got to see it firsthand. The 2020 season ended on a fantastic note. It was awesome. The major AA championships there, I got to see it firsthand, interview some of the players and coaches. I can only imagine it lit you up inside as the president of the league and got you thinking already about plans for 2021. So, Chris, and again, feel free to go on a bit of a rant here. What are you most excited about returning to baseball in 2021? Hopefully with a little less restrictions on the dial.
Well, I hope there's little less restrictions. The restrictions were terrible in 2020. The kids got out and played. That's my biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is seeing the people back at our park. Our North Regina is a family, right? If there's a child's birthday on Facebook, if you scroll through the comments, it's all North Regina people wishing that player happy birthday. So I'm just excited to see the family again out at the park. It's a different atmosphere. All the kids play at one park, right? We don't have to go to A to B to C, right? And you're not running all over the place. Everybody plays right there. They know where they're going. We've got such a great facility. We've got a new diamond opening up this year.
Fantastic.
We finished the renovation. So it's a full 280-foot fence.
Nice.
So we can play our intermediate, junior, senior there at our own park. Years past, we've had to rent diamond space, Lake Ridge, Columbus, so on. And it's cost our league money, but we wanted to bring that back. We've never had that ability to. So, with partnering with the city of Regina to help that, Jay's Care Foundation gave us a lot of money for that. So our park is growing. It's nice to see, but as I said, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody back at the Diamond. It's just hoping that we get a regular season this year. Last year we played July to September. Normally our season is May to June.
For sure.
So hopefully we get back. I believe with the government restrictions and how successful baseball was just across the board for all leagues. I've been on the Little League Alberta meetings. And they had great success as well. So I foresee baseball starting at the normal time. I hope All-Stars gets going this year. We have a little different setup for All-Stars this year. We're running an All-Star development camp for April and May.
Awesome.
And then picking the All-Star team. So not just one weekend where some kids come out and some kids don't, right? So we're going to take the top 30 kids that evaluate and ask them if they have an interest in playing All-Stars and have a development camp for them.
That's such a good idea.
Have the coaches, and then the coaches are able to pick the players on baseball knowledge, not just skill, right? They can go out and watch them play during the regular season. They can practice with them. They can do exhibition games. We went with 30 kids so they could have an inter-squad game between each other. So big that way. So I'm really hoping that All-Star Baseball comes up this year because there's some kids that just, they live for it, right? It's
Absolutely.
the competitive nature of the kids. So.
The highlight of the summer, right? The boys of summer are coming back, and I just can't wait for it. Chris, thank you so much for your time tonight. Let's plug the registration again one more time. Let us know where everybody can find it.
Everybody can go to nrll.ca. That's the best way. There's a link right up on the homepage. So register now. We're looking forward to a great season.
Awesome. Sounds good. And once again, Chris, thank you so much for your time tonight. Guys, we'll be back in segment 4. Clark and I got some things to discuss. We got Squad Select on the go. We've got some kind of bits and pieces that we've got to wrap up when it comes to maybe Clark's Leafs. I don't know. Clark's maybe had enough tonight, but I certainly haven't. Once again, Chris, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you guys after the break.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Comfort has always been something we as people strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. While the world seems to be facing one challenge after another, our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
He's covering everything that matters to you. It's the Rod Peterson Show. Tune in live Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to noon to catch the show live and be a part of the action. Take control by commenting live and sharing the show with your friends.
Everyday hoop life.
IKS Live. IKS Live. Western Canada's premier production services company. LED sign rentals. Video production. Event management. Look no further than IKS Live. Visit our website. IKS Live. Always the best seat in the house. IKS Live.
All right, cue the glass breaking. I'm back in the seat.
You're back.
Is that Clark's music? You see the comments going on in there?
Couple.
We were having some fun in the comments while I was off camera there for a bit.
Good stuff. I wasn't watching them, so
we got some wrapping up to do. I heard the over under is 8:37. We're sitting at right at 8:30 right now.
Nice.
I took that as a challenge, and Max is like, "Yeah, but aren't you gonna talk about the Leafs?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're hitting the over for sure." Bet your over now if it's still out there on the futures bets or whatever you call them nowadays. I don't know. But hey, we've had a great show tonight. First, let's just recap it a little bit. Arash Madani joined us. We broke down everything to do with the Jays. I saw one question, and we answered it in the discussion. However, I'd just like to make sure we kind of clarify what it was. Now, if I can just find the question, that would probably help.
That would help.
Is Robin Wildly asked, have they officially announced where they're going to play, Dunedin or Buffalo? Let me see if I can put that up on the screen for everybody. Yeah. Again, it's not showing up out here on our TV, but have they officially announced where they're going to play, Dunedin or Buffalo, and what is the better fit? Did we talk about this last week?
We discussed it with Arash a little bit.
No, but I remember, did we talk about it last week? I can't
Possibly.
remember. Either way, we
touched on it a lot.
Arash mentioned it. They're going to start in Dunedin, and then I think they're just going to play it by ear and see what happens.
Exactly.
However,
they have a beautiful facility there. That's the thing. Like, they have one of the nicest spring training complexes in the entire league. So, I mean, why not? And I think it's like brand newly renovated too. Like Mark Shapiro, that was one of his first projects as president, on top of babysitting Ross to make sure he signs George Springer, Marcus Semmy, and all those things. They got a very, very nice spring training facility that could easily pass for some Major League Baseball regular season action when the season gets going.
I'm just looking at old comments. My brother Scott, who's down in Phoenix, says, "What, to Arizona? Huh? Love it." He's a Cardinals fan just by approximation.
Oh no,
so.
Me and your brother might not get along.
He's not really he just lives there. So
he just lives there. So okay, so it's kind of like it's part of the tax. You get a 5% break
proximity.
If you own some Cardinals.
He's a proximity fan.
Gotcha.
However,
so he's a Yotes fan too.
Sort of. He played pro hockey, so he doesn't really have any affiliations.
No affiliation.
He's been around the league a little bit. So, but in terms of the Dunedin Buffalo conversation, was it Barry Davis? I feel like we've had this conversation, but the conversation basically was based around that the AAA team's got to play in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So they can't probably house two teams in the same facility. And I don't think Buffalo was built good enough to house the Major League team anyways last year.
No,
they made some improvements.
It was a temporary spot.
But like from what I heard, like the workout facility was on the concourse of the baseball diamond. Like you can't really do that. So like you said, Dunedin, they made it state of the art there for the training facility, the practice field, everything. I've heard the field there is nice. I don't know if it's Major League Baseball level,
Yeah,
but
it's good enough for them to play spring training every year, right?
spring training, I would say it's just fine to play regular season there. If everything else is state of the art, that part I think is okay.
We'll be all right.
I'm gonna
we'll still hit bombs.
I'm gonna go out on a limb if I had to put money on it, and say they're gonna play the whole season in Dunedin.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, right, we've already talked about the restrictions that it's cross-border, right? If you're crossing borders, you're having issues. So it just might be best for them to stay down in Florida, stay in their own little bubble, hubble, whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah, I don't know what they're calling it.
I think in Florida, you can kind of do whatever the hell you want. So based on what I saw in the Tom Brady parade.
From what I heard, like they might have fans in Dunedin. Like they might open it up to 1,000, 2,000 fans.
They're starting to do it in the NHL. The Preds are up to 20% capacity.
It's outdoors. Like it's not that they don't have that indoor restriction. It's outdoors. Baseball, man.
It's a lot of ifs and buts with if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. So we'll see what happens.
I just think if they start down there, I don't think they're coming back to Toronto. Ontario's struggling, and it's the summer, so their season's going to be over by the time everyone's saying all this vaccination stuff is going to line itself or work itself out. So I don't know. I think Dunedin's the way to go, and I'd be perfectly fine with that for a season. Like we said with Arash, there's a lot of champions coming out of Florida,
That's
so
the thing,
maybe that'll rub off on them somehow.
We got to come up with a good moniker for it. I was trying to in the last 4 seconds, but I failed. So
it's okay.
Just feeling like the Leafs last night.
What else? Okay, so we got to do this, and I'm hoping we can get a few comments from the viewers here who are left, because I know there's still a few watching. We have to figure out what we're going to do for our next version of Squad Select. So we just finished up our football one with the Super Bowl. We've taken a week or two off now we want to get into the hockey world in our Squad Select. We have an idea, and I think this is what we're going to do, and I want to just get some either thumbs ups or some ideas as to how we could make it different. So every week I do my Friday check-in. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a way for us to connect with before our next episode, just to connect with you guys, talk with you. I get a chance to kind of talk about what's going on, because with us only having one show on a Tuesday, it's nice to kind of a couple days in between or halfway in between, we get to connect, talk about the things going into the weekend, the things and the stuff, the hot topics going into the weekend, and kind of just connect. We get to engage with you guys. That's the best part of all this. So what do you think about a Saturday morning Hockey Night in Canada like preview coffee show where we chat about the games that are coming up that night across the league, and then we do our battle picks or whatever we want to do?
I'll make the graphics. One suggestion I have, and I think Darren DuPont gave it to us, and I've maybe dabbled in the sports wagering world in the last little while. I'm not any good at it,
I suck
like
at
many of us. But I think maybe we go game lines. You can pick money or puck line and have some fun in terms of an actual gambling side of things.
So then
I think that would be a fun little way to add to it.
Would our bets then, however much money we won, would that be our score?
Well,
Like,
that's
if you
the
were to
thing. We
do
could get as advanced to say I'm placing a 10 SquadCast bucks on a 1.5 goal favor of the Ottawa Senators against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and if I hit on that, well, then whatever the odds are at, we could do a money count. That
So
could
I'm
get
thinking, like,
interesting.
what if every week we just make like the $10 the standard what we're betting, and then I'm just thinking back in the day when I did like sports lines or whatever you call them, where this team would be if they win, you win 1.5 times the amount of money you bet or whatever, right? So we do that, and then we pick 5 games each or something, and if we win those bets, the amount of money we win off a $10 bet is our score for the week.
It accumulates.
Maybe we do that.
Maybe
we could do that. I don't know.
do that.
It's either that or we just keep doing the battle game stuff, and maybe we mix in a few crazy bets like we do with the Super Bowl or something funny.
You know what they say? It's our show. We can do what we want.
Yeah, I want to play around with it. I think we will. Maybe this week we'll maybe start it up and get hockey going finally. I know we're a couple weeks in, but
Yeah, that's okay.
there's
We
still
were a
some
couple
time.
weeks into the NFL. We got that started too. So
Perfect.
Hey.
I think we just came up with our plan. So look for it on Saturday morning at some point. I don't know
some
when.
point.
Maybe 10 a.m. That seems like a fun time. 10 a.m.
how about okay?
Oh,
Sleep in.
Yeah, but you don't have kids, so I'm up long before 10 a.m.
There you go.
So
that is
we'll
true.
figure out a
I
time.
have cats.
11?
The cats keep you up late at night, man.
Does 11 feel better to you?
11 feels good.
It'll be before lunch time. So we're going to do a Saturday morning live stream here on Facebook. We'll queue
Hockey
up.
morning in Canada.
Ooh, so we'll queue up the hockey night.
TM.
All the games across the league. We'll do a little discussion. We'll maybe have some debates with the viewers.
Yep.
And then we'll make our picks, and that'll be our Saturday morning. So we'll have a Friday check-in, a Saturday morning coffee time, and then our Tuesday shows.
Jeez, we're almost going to be daily.
Jeez,
Look
might
out
as
for
well
us.
be. Might as well be. So anyways, I think that's what we're going to do. Squad up Saturday morning, Robin Wildy. I like it.
I like that.
And this gives everyone who can't tune into the Friday check-in, because I do it at 4 o'clock. It's a lot of people are still working
It's
or whatever.
happy hour. Come on, we all know how many people actually work at 4 o'clock on a Friday. It's the scroll time.
Yeah. So
It's time to watch producer Clark do the Friday check.
I can tell who's watching those shows. I know who's tuning in. But now we have a chance to do a little weekend action, and we'll see how it goes. We're going to try it out this weekend, and stay tuned for Saturday morning.
Excellent.
What else do we want to talk about? I mean, we had some NHL standings. We talked about that a little earlier. What was some of the comments throughout the show? I mean, I know I did my Leafs rant, and people were like bugging me about that. I don't know how much more I really want to get into the Leafs right now. I mean, I kind of had my say. Super disappointed, but I also don't think that this is one of the craziest things that have ever happened.
Well, you know what? I will give you one more. I would like to talk about this a little bit, even though you maybe talk about a lot of Leafs talk with a bunch of brethren on Twitter.
Sure.
What do you make of the Alex Galchenyuk move?
Oh,
what do you make of it?
Right, we didn't even talk about that. Okay, so tune in for my 30-minute rant on Alex
You have to
Galchenyuk.
reciprocate this by asking a Preds question.
I will, because this is going to lead into a Preds
will.
question, and Jamie Anstey was asking us about this
That's
exact
right.
question earlier. So I'll do mine, and then it's going to segue nicely into yours.
Fantastic.
So Alex Galchenyuk has been on this is his 7th team already in his career.
5 years.
I was surprised. I was looking at his stats page. He's already 27 years old. He's been in the league since his rookie season in 20. He was
The
drafted in
Yakupov
2012.
draft.
That was such a bad draft, by the
Awful
way.
draft.
Look at the numbers. Like not
You
right
guys
now.
were the only team that hit on a pick, really.
No. Well, you
Washington
guys-
Capitals did, and then we acquired it.
That's what I was going to
so
say. Philip Forsberg is the highest
leads
scoring
the class,
forward out of that
367
draft.
points. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yikes.
He's not up for sale.
He's good. I like Philip Forsberg. He's not best player coming out of an entire draft material to me.
That's the thing, right? Well, I would still
Morgan
classify
Riley.
Morgan Riley as the best player coming out of
Hampus
the draft.
Lindholm was in that draft.
He was a good player, yeah. But I mean,
there's a few
we're
defensemen.
reaching-
Jacob Trouba was in that
Jacob
draft.
Trouba.
Actually, I was looking at that draft, and I was listening to a podcast earlier about it, Steve Dangle podcast, to give him a shout out.
He
They were
needs
talking about it. They mentioned Philip Yeah, they need the attention.
Yeah.
Philip Forsberg they talked about, and they were saying some names, and they're like, wow, I can't believe there's such a bad draft. There was actually quite a few nice defensemen in that draft, like Ryan Murray, et cetera, et cetera. We talked about a few of the names. So in terms of like nice top 4 defensemen, there's quite a lot in that draft. So it's not like maybe the goals and assists aren't pretty, but there's some really valuable players that came out of that
And
draft.
I think in the later rounds too, I can't really think of any that
Chris
top of
Tierney
mind.
was in that draft.
Exactly. Like there were some good second, third round
Yeah.
gems that have made some really good contributions across the league.
A couple goalies.
Although it wasn't necessarily a top heavy draft, it was one that tested your scouting department. If you had a
Definitely.
good draft, hopefully the scouts are still employed from that one because it was a little thin.
I think I said it on my Friday check-in, but there was that story that Neil Yakupov and Brian Burke almost got in a fist fight in their draft
that was a good
meeting,
one.
which led to my conversation about Gabriel Landeskog being involved in a Sidney Crosby trade, which
you threw
is
that out there.
drives me wild thinking about that. That sounds crazy interesting.
It's going to have to be a very, very good piece coming back the other way. And I think that
we had a couple people kind of chime in earlier.
captain action.
That's what I'm thinking is that, Brian Burke has come out and says he loves Gabriel Landeskog. He loved him in his draft meeting. He would have drafted him if he had the chance to in that draft. He thought he was future coach material, etc. I think that if they're thinking Sidney Crosby to Colorado, Burke's voice is going to come in and be like, I want Gabriel Landeskog.
To start.
Get me him and Bowen Byram, and then you guys figure out the rest of the pieces that make this work. I saw a couple people saying Mikko Rantanen should be involved in that trade. Yes and no.
The thing that we have to remember, though, when you look at these two teams, they're in the polar opposite ends of where their trajectory's at, right?
Yeah.
The Avs are still this really young, up-and-coming team. Nathan McKinnon's on arguably the most league-friendly contract at, I think he's got 2 years left at 6.3,
I think.
for a guy that typically contributes
6.8.
100 points.
Yeah.
Like, it's just an insane contract. And then you look at Mikko Rantanen, again, another really young guy who's still budding as a superstar in the league. I don't necessarily know if Penguins fans are going to be realistic about the return. Like you said, we were talking about it earlier, 5 or 6 pieces, but one is going to be a bona fide stud in Landeskog. You know that, and that's a good piece to acquire in that package.
Well, and that's the other thing that people have to remember too about acquiring somebody back for Sidney Crosby is if you're doing that, you're trading Malkin and you're trading Letang, and you're probably trading guys like Jason Zucker. You're probably trading guys, maybe even Jake Gensel's out of town. Like,
Possibly.
You're dumping. So you don't necessarily need to acquire a guy back in the trade that's going to be your like leading scorer. No. You need guys that can help lead in a rebuild, and Gabriel Landeskog seems like the perfect guy.
Which was unfortunate for him because he's already been through one.
I know.
It's really
but he's a captain. He's 28. Burke loves him, like I said. He's a free agent this summer. This summer. Not next summer, this one. So
UFA, too.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. Burke said there in win now mode, Darren Slade says, so I don't think Crosby's going anywhere. I think if this happens, it's a draft thing.
Draft day deal?
Around draft this summer. It sounds like Darren Slade. It sounds like they want to see what happens this year.
Yeah.
Look at the standings. Like, people are talking like the Penguins are down and out. They have 15 points.
Pretty sure
they are literally tied for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
They're 3 points back of second place.
And aren't they like 3-0-1 since Berkey and Hextall got there? Like, I mean, it's not like they're giving the Penguins as the team. They're not giving the guys a lot of reason to sell right now.
No, they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. I think they're on a 2-game winning streak.
Exactly.
So, like, they're probably going to make the playoffs this year. They might. It's Sidney Crosby. They might win the Stanley Cup this year.
That's the thing, right?
Like, they could. It's still a good freaking team. So we'll see. I'm very interested, and I said it before, but
team to follow.
I think that a rebuilding Pittsburgh is going to be massive for league-wide interest in terms of fan interest. There's so much that could go into play. So many teams would be involved in trade talks. I think it would just spark a whole new wave of interest.
You just got to call it what it is. When the Seattle Kraken joined the league, there's 31 other teams that would be interested in acquiring Sidney Crosby.
Yep. Oh, exactly.
There's no secret about that.
Yeah. What was the other thing I was... Oh, right. It's going to lead me into my conversation about...
How do we get from Alex Galchenyuk back onto the Penguins?
Yeah, thanks, Galchenyuk. I didn't even talk about Galchenyuk. So, Galchenyuk to the Leafs. We're over the over by a long shot.
Oh, yeah.
Galchenyuk, yeah, so we didn't even talk about that yet, which is hilarious. So, I saw a couple people... I'm going to call one guy out in particular, Josh, on Twitter.
Josh on Twitter? Does Josh have a last name?
Lewis, I'll say it.
Nice.
Sorry, Josh, you're getting called out. But he's like, I can't believe they trade, paraphrasing, it's probably wrong, but I can't believe they traded Korshkov for Galchenyuk. And Warsofsky wasn't even a part of the conversation.
That's right, your fringe fourth liner that might make the team in 3 years. Oh, can't.
So I was like, Josh, you're upset that they traded a 24-year-old, not young anymore by prospect standards, winger who has one career NHL game for a 27-year-old who has 140 career NHL goals, and I don't know what he has, like 400 games played.
Only $1 million against the cap.
And he's only $1 million. Like, I think you want to take the flyer. You want to take the chance that you get lightning in a bottle with Galch. Like, I know 6 other teams have.
Oh, you already got nicknames for him, hey?
Everyone calls him Galch.
Oh, everyone, yeah.
Some people called him Chucky, I heard. Like, I don't know.
Wow. What nickname are you going to go with, Clark? Depends how many goals he scores.
If he plays, I'll figure it out when he scores a couple goals.
That was cute.
But, like, he has a 30-goal season. He has a couple 20-goal seasons. He has several seasons over 15 goals. He's been around the league. I don't see why you wouldn't trade a unproven 24-year-old who might not ever come. He's in Russia right now for a guy who might fit into your lineup for the next couple of years potentially. Like, just, I don't know. To me, a lot of people. Man. Well, yeah, a lot of people made way too big of a deal out of the potential of the ceiling of Igor Korshkov. And this is another thing that I'm going to now segue over to you. The conversation was then, well, was Galchenyuk that top 6 forward that Elliot Friedman teased everybody about on Sportsnet or on Tim and Sid or whatever it was on, that the Leafs have a top 6 forward in mind, and he wrote it down on a piece of paper? Was it Galch? And I was like, okay, I don't think it's him, first off. I don't think that's the top 6 forward that Kyle Dubas would.
I don't think Galch would
pine over.
Yeah, he hasn't been defined as a top 6 forward in a few years.
And it's been a while. Maybe if he rebounds hard, but yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. So it actually came out today. Friedman showed his hand, I guess, on 31 Thoughts. They put out the article today. And I guess the name that he had, and this isn't mind-blowing by any chance, however, I think it's a nice thought. It's an interesting thought process. Mikael Granlund out of Nashville.
Huh, I've heard of that guy before.
So he's been in Nashville for a couple of years. They re-signed him this offseason for a 1-year deal. So me and Max were talking about what a trade for Mikael Granlund would even look like. Alex Kerfoot probably has to be involved to make money work on both sides. And then you brought up the idea, and now it has since come out in several articles and videos, that Matthias Ekholm would also potentially be involved in some sort of trade, and maybe it's with the Leafs, who might want to load up and really make a run this year in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And the discussion led to, if the Leafs are going to do it any year, they're potentially, the Canadian division is guaranteed a spot in the top 4, the final 4. So if any year you're going to make a run for it, you're in first place now, an Ekholm would be huge.
He would have stopped 3 of those goals last night. The Sens scored.
God.
But anyways, no. I
Probably.
Well, when you look at the Preds, it's...
So now I'm giving you the chance.
We're
Just tell me
15
about
games into the season. It's so hard to admit 3-4 years now removed from a Stanley Cup run. The Preds, I think, are inevitably in sell mode. I'll put it on the public record. They're in sell mode, and we do have some really interesting pieces. Mikael Granlund, as you mentioned, when you package him up with Ekholm, I think that returns the most value from a team like Toronto, right? We talked about it. They've got some intriguing prospects. Korshkov's off the list. Oh, geez. But you've got Nick Robertson sitting there waiting to get dealt to a team where he can fit into a top 9 role, who I'm not going to say he's overseasoned by any stretch because he was just playing junior last year, if I'm correct.
Nick Robertson?
Nick Robertson.
Yeah, he was
defenseman for the Peterborough Petes. Shout out Steve Dangle.
Yeah, we're just giving Steve Dangle all sorts of attention tonight.
But no.
He was in junior. He scored 50 goals in junior last year and then jumped onto the Leafs for the playoff bubble, scored 1 goal in a couple of games, 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
And then he's now back with the Leafs, but he got hurt. So he's with the Marlies now, and he's already got a point or so with the Marlies in their first game.
And all I see when I look at that is a perfect guy that maybe fills the cupboard a little more with a Phil Tomasino, right? We're at that point.
Sure, yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense.
We're at that point in our, I guess, I don't want to say it, but in our trajectory where the Preds
Your window's closing,
The
Max.
window's closing, and it's really unfortunate because when you look at our average age of our core, geez, and I keep saying our because I am just as passionate about the Preds as Clark is on the Leafs. He's heard me scream at the television before. It is what it is. It's fine.
I mean, everybody does it.
When it comes to the Leafs, no, there is definitely a couple of really intriguing options from some good teams out there that are just maybe underperforming a little bit. The Preds, right? I mean, they're really good on paper. They've got some contracts that are on 1-year deals. And that's the thing about Ekholm. He's got 1.5 years left. He's a top 4 defenseman. Justin Hall could easily move down to 5. I mean, that's a no-brainer for you guys.
See, I think Ekholm lines up on the third pairing with Bogosian, and that's like your gritty, hard-to-play against third pair. It sounds interesting to me. But
can Justin Hall produce the offense that Ekholm has in his career?
Ekholm's
a 40-point guy, man. He's done it before. He's a big, bruising guy. He plays the game.
Can he play the right side?
He actually has before.
Okay, well, I'd be curious.
When he's been paired with
Let's get him on the Leafs and see what happens.
Well, that's the thing.
All
Future
right.
Toronto Maple
Dubas.
Leaf, Matthias Ekholm.
Hey, Kyle Dubas, I'll give him a call after the show.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get Ekholm. We'll see what happens.
Ekholm, and then on the return, it's Nick Robertson, a first.
Kerfoot.
William Nylander.
Okay,
Alex
go away.
Kerfoot.
We're shutting the show down.
Matthews
You're getting crazy.
And Kyle Dubas' glasses subscription for the next 3 years. And then it's a done deal.
And you said something about cucumbers coming the other way, too.
6 cucumbers. 6 heartily Tennessee.
I love it.
How do you sell cucumbers from Nashville?
I don't know.
6 hearty.
We
delicious.
got to wrap this up, Max. We got to. I'm grabbing the cane. I'm pulling you off the stage.
I completely sold it. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm grabbing the hook. We're pulling you off the stage tomorrow on the Rod Peterson Show. I have to plug this one.
All right.
Our good buddy Sean Lemon is back on the show from the Edmonton football team. He recently signed with those guys. Looking forward to hearing from him. TSN NHL analyst Craig Button's joining us on the show. We'll talk about
he's got a thought about John Tavares.
We'll talk about his bashing of John. He tore John Tavares a new one.
With you again, or how's that?
Well, that's for next show. We don't have enough time. Don't have enough time. Plus, from inside the Calgary curling bubble, Max, Kathy Overton is joining us. One of the goats of female curling. She is joining us.
There's a couple of tournaments starting up there.
Scotty's tournament starting up right away.
Fantastic.
And we'll have some news about the Sandra Schmerler Foundation telethon, which I know a lot of people around here are very interested in talking about. Next week on the SquadCast, just lined up, Joel Henderson, our buddy Joel's coming back.
Oh, that's what you're doing.
I was actually doing work.
You were working.
I was.
Good job.
So he's coming back for his third appearance. So he's actually leading the way. He's been on 3 times.
Oh, man, we got to get him a banner now.
And I'm working on a good buddy of mine. I'm not going to say who yet because I haven't booked him,
Brian
but
Burke.
hopefully, Brian Burke. Yeah, you have his book, right?
I do have
He'll
his
come
book.
on just
We'll
because of
plug his
that.
book.
From the basement of the bunker, we are signing off. I'm producer Clark, Mad Max over here, director Jordan, and producer. I'm actually going to say Alan the intern because he was bashing me in the
you
comments.
demoted him again?
Yeah, I can't handle it. My emotions are wrecked. So Alan the intern is in the back, plus our friends Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions, IKS Media, Vigor Lifestyles, Hoop Life Basketball, RBI Baseball, and Flame Tech Combustion Services. We'll see you next week. You didn't change the lyric, so I'm just going to sign off.
You just sign off.
Don't
Take
have
care,
a closing
everybody.
lyric today. See you next week.